Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance emulation on Android with Boy GBC and Boy GBA. And unfortunately, both the free and paid versions of these emulators have been removed from Google Play. Here's the note from the developer. After 7 incredible years of development and adventures with my apps, I have made the difficult decision to remove them permanently from the Play Store. My family comes first, and for this reason I have chosen to prioritize my family over the development of my apps. I want to thank each and every one of you for your incredible support over the years. Your words of encouragement, feedback, and constant support have been a source of inspiration for me in my work. Thank you again for everything. You have been fantastic. So as of this video, if you head to the Google Play Store and search for Boy emulators, chances are you're not going to find anything because they have been taken down. From my understanding, if you've previously purchased one, you should be able to re-download it. To be honest with you, this took me by surprise. I mean, these apps were just selected by Google to be a part of the Google Play Pass service. And now they're no longer. I'm guessing the developer may have been a little bit unsettled with the whole Yuzu case. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about the legendary Akira Toriyama. And if you've ever watched Dragon Ball, played Chrono Trigger, or Dragon Quest, you're familiar with his work. And I hate to say this, but Akira Toriyama has passed away at the age of 68. This announcement was posted on the official Dragon Ball website. I'll drop a link to it in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. The cause of death was an acute subdural hematoma. I would argue that Akira's legacy will live on forever, as his work was very popular, influential, and inspirational. In fact, there's a game coming out on April 25th called Sandland featuring his work. So this game will be headed to Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below as well if you are interested in checking it out. Next up, if you're a fan of unlicensed ports, you might like this news. King Fishing, Hummer Team's unlicensed port of Sega Bass Fishing, has been officially dumped. Whether or not it's a good game, I'll leave that up for you to decide, and this is working on the NES. If you're interested in reading the story behind it as well as seeing some cool pictures, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Moving on, and we're talking about James Lambert, the person behind the Portal 64 remake that was DMCA'd. Anyways, James is at it again with something brand new here, N64 in VR. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to his video in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. It's a very interesting setup, and he walks you through the whole thing. And speaking about DMCAs, next up we're talking about not Nintendo, but Sega. Reportedly, Sega has DMCA'd the Golden Axe Returns project. If I'm not mistaken, Golden Axe Returns was hosted over on GameJolt, and if I head to the page is no longer found. It may be hosted elsewhere, who knows. The game itself looked pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of videos on it. I'll drop a link to one in the description below, and feel free to check it out. And speaking about videos, next up we're talking about Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, and Digital Foundry just put out a video comparing the original game versus the remakes. On the Xbox Series S, it's safe to say the S stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or possibly struggle. I mean, for example, during their tests in some areas in quality mode, the Xbox Series S dipped to 454p. I'm not joking. Now, it's worth noting that was for quality mode. In performance mode, it also dips to 454p in some areas. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Do you think the Xbox Series S is underpowered, or do you think the game is just not optimized? Next up, this is a quick update in the whole Apple versus Epic saga. Yesterday we talked about Apple removing Epic's developer account as Apple was not happy with some of the stuff Epic was saying. Well, it turns out the EU is investigating this, possibly for foul play by Apple. Thierry Breton, who I think is the EU commissioner, says under the DMA there is no room for threats by gatekeepers to silence developers. I've asked our services to look into Apple's termination of Epic's developer account as a matter of priority. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Next up, I've got another quick one, and we're talking about some Linux stuff. If you use Fedora, you might not be happy with this news if you like Xorg. It appears Fedora is dropping Xorg support. Wayland is the way of the future. Next up, this is crazy. In the latest Spiderman 2 game, they may have left in a dev and debug menu by mistake. To access them is very simple. For the dev menu, you press L3 on the Save Select screen. For the debug menu, you press Options and touchpad buttons on the same time on the Save Select screen. And sure enough, there are YouTube videos showcasing how to play as Venom in Spider-Man 2 with the debug menu and even more. And speaking about crazy, next up we're talking about Area 51, a game that was released back in 2005. Apparently someone found the full source code at a garage sale. So they say this source code is from March 31st, 2005, just before the official release. And it includes the source code for PC, PS2, Xbox, and an early version for GameCube. And it's been posted to GitHub. If you're curious about this and want to learn more, I'll drop a link in the description below. Moving on, and we're talking about GeForce Now, and Nvidia has just started selling day passes to this service. So the cost here for 24 hours of access to their cloud service will set you back $3.99. Or the ultimate version to get 4K and a few extra processing goodies for $7.99. To be honest with you, if you're stuck somewhere and you've got a good internet connection, $4 for the day doesn't necessarily seem too bad. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And last up here, we're talking about a ROM hack, Ghostbusters Special Edition version 2.0. New characters, colors, modes, cheats, and secrets, and even more. Now, Ghostbusters Special Edition is a complete overhaul of the 1990s Ghostbusters for the Sega Genesis. If you are curious about this one and wanted to learn more, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. I'd argue this ROM hack is pretty cool, and I'd say if this game released in this state back on the Genesis in the day, it would be a huge seller. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.